Now, it's a shocking figure, but it's estimated that 13 million people in this country are living below the poverty line and often go without food.
With food prices continuing to rise, many families are finding it difficult to make ends meet. A network of food banks has been set up to help, and while times are still hard, their numbers are growing. Well, Joan Cummins is at a food bank in Coventry right now. These are shocking statistics, Joan.
Yes, they are, Nick, and let me give you another one. Here in Coventry alone, it's estimated that 60,000 people are living on the poverty line. That's around it and definitely below it. I'm here at the Hope Centre in Hillfields, which is one of those food banks that have been set up across the city. All this food you see here will be gone tomorrow when people come with a voucher asking for help. I've spent all day today talking to people who use the food banks and who rely on them. One man told me that all he had at home was a microwave, half a loaf of bread and 28 pence in his pocket. That was it. And that's actually quite shocking when you think about how people are having to live these days. But what was inspiring was the fact that charities, schools and businesses are helping to donate. A regular delivery of food by a city supermarket in Coventry. Destination, hundreds of hungry people across the city who rely on charitable handouts from the public and business to survive.
A total of 8, 2 adults, 6 children with no special dietary requirements.
Established earlier this year, the food bank is part of a nationwide network of more than 100 centres. In Coventry, an average of 200 people a week are depending on food parcels. More food banks are planned across the country, including Oswestry and Tamworth.
We need food banks because an awful lot of people are in crisis and they often have a choice between paying their bills and feeding their family.
Food is donated by shoppers, churches and schools like a permanent harvest festival. People in need are then referred to the centres, who will then give them 3 days' supply of basic food.
The sheer number of people that we've seen coming through since we started the food bank at the end of January this year has really taken us by surprise. We're continuously fighting with the fact that we don't have enough stock and we're having to get more and more, and this is a continuous problem for us.
Jodie and Darren are surviving on £52 a week. She lost her job through ill health last year, and Darren is trying to get on a college course. With bills to pay, food is a luxury they can't afford. This week they walked miles to get their first food bank parcel.
We'd just have like the odd tin of beans, the odd tin of spaghetti, or just whatever you could get off a friend or something. When I'm in a financial position to do it myself, I'd be quite willing to donate, and it just shows that there are kind people out there and everyone isn't as bad as they think.
It obviously isn't just adults who are affected by a lack of food. During research for this story, I discovered one school in the city where teachers had learned that pupils had no food. The teachers themselves had a whip round to make sure that the kids didn't go hungry. Coventry's food banks are run by a network of 7 churches. They'll only give food to people on 3 occasions, but that helping hand can often make the difference to a family in need. Now, as I said, I'm at the Hope Centre in Hillfields, and I've moved out into the cafe area, which is at the front of the Mosaic Church. I'm joined now by Gavin Kibler, who you're the food bank manager for Coventry. How desperate a situation is it out there?
Well, it seems to be very desperate. I mean, in the last 3.5 months since we opened here, we've fed well in excess of 800 people. To me, that's a complete surprise, and we're seeing the demand growing rapidly on a daily basis.
And these aren't people who you would normally think would need help, who would need charity like this, are they?
It can be right across the society, from people who've just lost their jobs, right through to people on very, very low incomes.
And the welfare system not picking them up?
The welfare system does, but very often there are delays in the welfare system, and we pick up where the welfare system stops or it needs to kick in. Say somebody's lost their job and there's a delay in welfare coming through, then the food bank steps in at that sort of time.
But you're not a soup kitchen, are you?
Absolutely not a soup kitchen. What we do is provide 3 days' worth of nutritionally balanced food for people who are desperately in need.
Okay, and desperately in need. And also, I think it has to be said here that the charities who are doing this are always desperately in need of more food. So you can drop it off. They have a bin a tin scheme if you see one of those in your local supermarkets. And they also said that they're very keen to hear from supermarkets who would be keen to do this and just help someone, help your neighbour, help somebody in need. Now back to you.
Joan Cummins, thank you very much.